Well, what a week it's been. We've had the horrific aftermath of the unprovoked attack by Hamas terrorists in Israel, because that's what they are, terrorists. I'm not sure why the BBC is struggling to call them that. If people terrorise innocent citizens in a surprise attack for no real reason, causing death and destruction through guns, bombs and unspeakable evil, murdering families, including women, children and babies, and taking hostages to be used as human shields, what else are you going to call them? The BBC have form for this, though. Amongst other names, they've referred to ISIS as a jihadist group, ISIS fighters and IS members as though they were part of a gym. They went as far as to say Shamima Begum had said that she accepts that she joined a terror group, but they stopped short of calling them terrorists themselves. They didn't even refer to the IRA as terrorists, but used phrases like IRA man, the biggest and most active dissident group, and the new IRA, as though it were a brand new item of clothing. The lack of reference was so subtle, it went unnoticed. But in this hypersensitive woke war on words created by the left, its exclusion now sticks out like a sore thumb. Nick Robinson posted the reasoning behind it. He said, "No one watching the reporting of my BBC colleagues in Israel can have any doubt of the horror of what has happened. I understand entirely why some want the word terrorism used. It is, though, the long-standing practice of BBC, ITV and Sky to report others using that language rather than using it ourselves." Well, Nick, here's the dictionary definition to help you out. A terrorist is a person who uses unlawful violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims. See? It's not judgment, it's the truth. No wonder people have stopped watching the BBC in their droves. I mean, what's the point if they won't call a spade a spade? And you can almost forget that somewhere in there was a Labour Party conference, where the most interesting thing was Sir Keir Starmer being doused with glitter by a very posh activist who somehow managed to evade security to throw the green substance onto the Labour leader, who boringly kept them at bay with one arm. Keir's mic was left up so what turned out to be an eco-activist could say a few words in a very posh Etonian voice.
True democracy is citizen-led. Politics needs an update. We demand a people's house! We demand a people's house! We are in crisis!
So the intruder was on stage for some 15 seconds before being pulled to the floor by female security. Good on you, girls. I think it was a setup, by the way, to make the Labour leader look more manly and in control. I mean, why leave his mic up? A ploy to make you forget that Keir never mentioned immigration and banged on about building houses. You can build as many houses as you like, Keir, but if you don't stop the boats, there'll never be enough. The whole speech received high praise, but it was boring. I lay on the couch in my office and fell asleep. But all of that politicking pales into insignificance when you see the horror unfolding in the Middle East. Israel have ordered the evacuation of approximately 1.1 million people in Gaza in preparation for retaliatory strikes against Hamas for the evil they unleashed last week. But thankfully, we here in the UK haven't had to deal with a war on our soil for some time, which is why I suspect the left, who have busied themselves and distracted us with fakery, things like gender ideology, for example, which shouldn't even be a thing, their obsession with diversity and inclusion and net zero, which doesn't add up. The world is at a tipping point. Forget climate change and 2050. The way we're going on, we'll be lucky if we get through the next few years.